Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a breaking development that's sending shockwaves through Eastern Europe and beyond. The European Union's latest round of sanctions has just struck a major blow against a secret oil pact between Russia and Belarus, a deal that was quietly fueling both nations' war ambitions and helping them bypass earlier sanctions. What's unfolding now is more than just an economic story. It's a geopolitical earthquake that could change the course of the ongoing conflict and seriously weaken Moscow's plans for military expansion. For months, analysts have suspected that Russia and Belarus were working together to create hidden supply chains for oil and petroleum products, using Belarus as a backdoor to funnel Russian crude into European and Asian markets. This covert arrangement helped both governments cushion the financial shock of Western sanctions imposed after the invasion of Ukraine. But newly leaked documents and EU intelligence reports reveal that the EU has uncovered this network and responded with precision-targeted sanctions aimed directly at the companies and banks facilitating the deal. What's remarkable here is how quietly and strategically the EU moved. Rather than making loud political statements, Brussels opted for a stealthy economic operation, cutting off critical access points that Russia and Belarus relied on. Several front companies in countries like Kazakhstan, Turkey, and even the UAE were allegedly being used to disguise the true origin of Russian oil, labeling it as Belarusian before re-exporting it. The new sanctions expose this entire network, freezing assets, suspending licenses, and banning dozens of ships suspected of smuggling operations in the Baltic Sea. The impact has been immediate. Belarus, which has long depended on Russia's oil subsidies and refining partnerships, now finds its main refineries, like those in Mazar and Novopolot, struggling to maintain output. Sources inside Belarusian energy agencies report that exports have plummeted nearly 40% since the sanctions hit, and Russia's own energy traders are scrambling to find alternative routes. This sudden disruption is not just economic, it's strategic. The revenue from oil sales was directly feeding into Russia's defense budget and supporting Belarus's military buildup near NATO's borders. With these funds drying up, both nations are facing a critical financial squeeze. Inside the Kremlin, reports suggest growing frustration. Moscow had been counting on Belarus not only as a loyal ally, but also as a key logistical hub for fuel and weapon transport. Now that the EU has successfully targeted this lifeline, Russian officials are warning that ongoing military operations could face temporary logistical delays. In plain terms, that means the supply chains feeding the front lines are cracking under pressure. Analysts say this could slow down Russia's next phase of operations in eastern Ukraine and potentially weaken its leverage in upcoming negotiations. Belarus's President Alexander Lukashenko, meanwhile, is in a difficult position. He's been balancing between remaining loyal to Moscow and trying to avoid total isolation from Europe. These sanctions make that balancing act nearly impossible. The Belarusian economy was already struggling under the weight of previous trade restrictions, and now with oil exports choking, the government is reportedly considering emergency talks with China and Iran to keep its refineries running. But experts say those efforts are unlikely to fill the gap left by European markets and shipping routes. The EU, for its part, is framing this as a victory for transparency and enforcement. Officials in Brussels claim this is proof that the sanctions regime is not just symbolic. It's effective when applied with precision and backed by solid intelligence. What makes this development especially powerful is that it wasn't achieved through military force or diplomacy, but through data tracking, financial tracing, and international cooperation. It's a quiet but devastating form of economic warfare. The big question now is how Russia will respond. Some insiders suggest Moscow could retaliate by cutting gas supplies to certain EU nations or ramping up cyber operations against European infrastructure. Others believe Putin may instead seek to strengthen ties with non-Western partners, especially China and India, to rebuild the lost revenue streams. But even that won't be easy. As global scrutiny increases, fewer nations want to risk violating EU or U.S. sanctions and ending up blacklisted. So, as it stands, this latest move marks a significant turning point in the sanctions war. For the first time, the EU has managed to strike directly at the economic heart of the Russia-Belarus partnership, and the ripple effects are already shaking their political and military strategies. Whether this will truly crush Russia's invasion plans remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the pressure is mounting, the loopholes are closing, and the balance of power in Eastern Europe is shifting fast. That's it for today's deep dive. If you found this analysis insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on global power shifts and behind the scenes developments shaping our world. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.